The Josh Wade Show. My name's Josh Wade. Thanks for joining us. We've got an amazing episode this week. I want to thank everyone on the Patreon group for supporting us. We don't run ads. We don't have any... Well, we do, but we make fuck all out of them, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. We don't make anything from it. So if you want to help us create the show, join our little movement that we've got going on. We do a private Facebook live stream every fucking week. It's a group with the people that have a wide range of opinions, and everyone's open to hearing what your thoughts are. So if you want to join, please do help us out. Give us $1 or $2. It all helps out. Connor is back doing the... you can't see him. We need a Connor cam. Yeah. Anyway, today I'm with Koby. Koby, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good. Is your tongue split?
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
I just noticed that. Show me. Oh, my God. Cunt, you're loose. All right. Koby with the split tongue. Koby, you're a cam girl?
I'm a full-service escort, a cam girl, and just starting out in amateur porn.
Okay, so that's
all
good.
of the above.
Amateur porn. All right, where do we start? Where were you born?
I was born in New Zealand.
Yep, yeah, and you said you moved here about 4 years ago?
Yeah, I lived in Perth for about 15 years, moved
Yep.
back to New Zealand, and moved to the Gold Coast about 4 years ago.
Perth's a big jump.
Yeah.
It is so what took you to Perth? Family or?
I had no say. I was 4 months old.
Oh, okay. All right, well, that makes sense. You swam there.
Yeah.
No, good. All right, so how long have you been sort of in this world for?
I've been...
Professionally?
Yeah, so professionally I've been in the industry for about 2 years, or nearly 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, and where did it start? Where did it begin?
It started off like when I moved to the Gold Coast. I was just newly 18, and I already knew about the sex industry and stuff like that, and like from as long as I knew about it, like it was something that I already like thought as a positive thing and really liked and everything. So when I moved here, I had the opportunity to be like a sugar baby and stuff like that. So that's what started me in the industry, and then it was just kind of a natural progression from there to then get into full service escorting.
So do you think like from starting out as a sugar baby, is that what you said? Yep. So we had someone on before on a show that was doing a similar sort of thing. Did you find that was sort of, like you said, a prelude to it all, where you sort of became more comfortable with what you were doing? And then, right. So let's say back at the start when you said you had the opportunity to become a sugar baby. What is that opportunity and how does that present itself to you?
Well, the opportunity for me was because when I was in New Zealand, I was in a really small town, so there wasn't many sugar daddies or anything there. So when I moved to the Gold Coast, there's obviously a lot more. So then I took advantage of that and went online, and I had maybe like 3 very successful sugar daddy relationships. I'm currently in one now. Yeah. What
is a successful sugar daddy relationship for people that don't understand?
I it's one that both parties like are very set with their agreement and everything like that. Lines don't really get crossed. Yeah. You both know each other's expectations and it just runs smoothly. Like I've had other ones where I've gotten into the relationship and then like 2-3 weeks down the line, like the guy turns into a ghost.
Nuts.
And you just never see them again.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Okay.
They
Yeah.
just disappear. So the ones that are actually wanting to be a proper sugar daddy are actually there, and like you have good communication with them and everything like that. So
what is a proper sugar daddy then? Like what? So let's say I'm looking to be a sugar daddy. What are you looking for in me? What boxes do I have to tick for you, and what boxes do you need to tick for me?
I look for
on general
an older, already like established gentleman, someone in a good profession, someone that's normally I like people who are retired because it gives a lot more free time and everything, and just someone that's looking for all the good parts of the relationship.
So definitely not me.
No, you're too young.
Okay. And what would I be looking? So I'm the retiree. I'm the dude with a bit of cash. What am I genuinely looking for in someone like yourself?
Well, like, sorry. It would be like someone who's genuinely into it to be a good sugar baby, because I know a lot of girls that do it and don't really care much for their sugar daddy and stuff like that, but I do, like, because they're paying me, but they're paying for my company and everything, so I want to make sure that I'm holding up my end of the arrangement, and I'm giving them like a lot of attention, a lot of love and everything like that. That's what they're after.
Yeah.
So I'm there to provide a drama-free girlfriend experience.
Right. Okay. So, like, I don't know if you've seen in Japan. Actually, I saw it in Perth. I think it was in Perth that there's someone charging now to give cuddles. And did you see that?
Cuddles. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like a cuddle?
Yeah, I watch a lot of like YouTube documentaries and stuff like that, and like the cuddle like houses and stuff in Japan where guys come and you cuddle and they clean your ears. Yeah.
What? They clean your ears?
Yeah, well, that's one house in Japan that does.
Fuck, I gotta get in on that. I love, like, every morning, man. It's like, I don't wank. I just go in and fucking stick something in my ear. I'm like, sweet. And I come. All right. So you've started doing that. You've said, did you ever have any, like, other than the unsuccessful ones that just sort of turned into ghost town, has it been a mostly positive experience with the sugar daddy stuff?
I've never really had a bad experience except for guys being jerks and stuff like that.
Right. Okay. Are there other people in that scene that you know? Like, is it a community as such, or do you guys sort of run your own lane? It's your own business that you...
Like, for me, everything I do independently and stuff like that. So, I mean, I've got friends and stuff who are sugar babies, but no, like, other support to try and find guys or, like, run things. So.
Right. So how does that go when, you're in sort of a predicament of some sorts where things might be coming to an end, might still be amicable, but, things are coming to an end. How do you find that support network with people that understand? Because it's a very complex thing that you're in terms of the sugar baby stuff. It's very complex, and it's very hard for a lot of people to, I guess, wrap their head around the whole thing. So where do you are there like online forums that you're able to...
Yeah, there definitely would be, but I mean, my friend group and my family are very supportive and know about everything that I do, from being a sugar baby to being a porn star.
Right.
So if I'm having troubles or anything like that, like when I first started out and I'd go meet guys and stuff like that, like I feel like I'm very sensible when it comes to stuff like that. So always meeting in a public place, never going in a car, never going back to their place until I feel completely comfortable. And I'd always let like either my sister or my mum or a friend know where I'm going, the person's name, and I'd leave their phone number just in case.
It sounds like it's actually, if you're taking all those precautions, and it sounds like it's quite unsafe if you've sort of got to go to that extent to...
I think that's just me. I worry about a lot of things that's probably more so than someone else would. I think
it's reasonable. I think what you're worrying about is a very normal thing.
Like, I mean, there's good and bad experience with anything that you do. So, like, I bet there's surely a lot of bad sugar baby, sugar daddy stories. I haven't had any. I haven't had any people in, like, my personal life experience anything. But I think when you're doing something like that, or when you're meeting someone for the first time, like, even this, like, I don't know you, like... You've got to... You
don't have my number. You're not worried that I'm going to, like, do anything to you, though. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? Like, there's a... the more that you do it, it's almost like the risk increases, because it's like, all right, everything's been good so far. Like, what if one day you're lucky that you gave someone that number, that person's number? Like, I don't know. Do you ever just sit there and go, okay, this is getting creepy, maybe? Or do you
I feel like I've got a pretty good gut instinct, and I mean, you do take that risk, and I take it, and I just make sure I have everything in line. Even being a sugar baby for 2 years now, I still run the same procedure. It sounds like very clinical and businessy when I say that, but I still do everything the same because it's worked well for me up until now and everything. And I just, you can't put a number or whatever your sugar daddy or whatever it's going to give you on the price of your safety. On your safety.
Yeah. It almost sounds like out of all the things, so, sugar babying and then full service escort and then the porn, it's almost like that one's the most riskiest out of it all, where it seems like that's the one where it'd be... Do you think there's, like, the risk to reward ratio is so... There's probably more rewards out of being a sugar baby as opposed to just doing porn or just being an escort, but the risk is a little bit higher, because we had someone that was doing the same thing, and I think we found a lot of the people that were watching it were sort of finding that some of her comments were a little bit hypocritical, because she didn't see the risk in it whatsoever, while at the same time talking about risky situations that she'd been in. But I guess that's nonetheless. So you've got into the sugar baby and stuff. What was the situation that made you go, all right, sweet, I'm making good cash out of this, I enjoy what I'm doing? You know, how does that transition then into, was it then into full service escorting?
Well, so after that, I met a few girls who were full service escorts.
Yeah. Were you escorting yourself at that time?
No.
So you were just sort of looking after them and managing the day-to-day runnings of it.
Yeah.
Was there a title for that?
Not really.
Nah, you were just the
I just kind of took it upon myself to be in that position to talk to them, because a lot of the girls didn't have a supportive network or anything like that, and I can understand how you would definitely need to vent or have someone to talk to about certain things. So
when you're in that position, so with those girls then, so you're in a position of, you're almost like a mother bear at that point. You know, I'm just guessing, I'm assuming, but there might have been one or two of those girls that might have fell into that job due to unfortunate circumstances, as opposed to, you know, someone like yourself, which has been able to make a conscious, safe decision to go, this is what I want to do, and you're doing it the right way. Did you ever deal with that sort of, that push and pull of like, fuck, okay, I know the way that I'm doing it is correct and it's right and I'm safe and everything, but I can actually see that this person here they're having sort of a mental, they're having mental repercussions because of this and because of something that may have happened in their life.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? Would you tell them to seek help or to stop, or like,
I would
how do you
never
view
tell
it?
them what to do. It's completely up to them. But just having a good conversation with them about like mentally, like, can you handle doing this job? Because I can completely see if it's not something you're comfortable with, that you're going to look back on it and feel like a lot of regret or like a lot of hurt from doing it if you're not completely comfortable with what you're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, just having like a good conversation with them, and then you know, we'll talk about different things, and then it's kind of up to them.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's just that little bit of duty of care that I suppose that you held in that position. Okay, so I guess you've had a interesting insight. So that was your first foray into that world, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I completely left all of that and started working independently.
Right. Okay.
That's how I got into it properly.
Right. So what's that process like? Because I guess it's like any business, you have to build up a clientele and.
Yeah. So I just started posting on like established like escorting ad kind of websites, and I'd normally book like a nice hotel, and then I would run everything through that. My clients would come to me. I don't normally do out calls. I just feel like a lot more comfortable with in calls. And then I do work at different brothels as well.
Right. Okay. So what's that sort of like? I guess, I mean, you've sort of done the sugar baby and stuff, but what's that like when you're going, all right, I'm literally only going to fuck this person maybe once or twice and get paid for it. There's no long-term commitments. It's almost like sugar baby on crack, where it's like, it's literally just that time frame. Yeah. Is that much different in, you know? I
find escorting to be quite a lot easier, because you don't have to maintain a relationship with your person like you do with a sugar daddy.
Yeah.
Obviously the money's quicker, everything like that. So they both have their pros and cons, like everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess you have a wide array of people that come and see you, and I'm sure you've got some great stories that when you're 50, you'll be able to write an amazing book about. We had a girl come in here, the girl that I was talking about before, and she had one of her craziest experiences was
The
banana and then the, what was it? The urethra play.
Oh, yeah.
She stuck her finger down a dude's dick and fucked his dick with her finger, which that sentence still has caused major post-traumatic stress disorder on me. Is there anything that's come into your life that you've gone, okay, this is, you know, not that it's right or wrong, but this is a new one. This is definitely.
I mean, I think I'm very desensitized to a lot of fetishes and kinks and stuff like that, because I don't see anything. Like, there are things that I don't do, or some things that I think do cross the line when it becomes illegal or unsafe for somebody. But, you know, I just think everyone has their own kinks and what they like. And, you know, if that's what you're into, you should be able to explore it in a safe and judgmental-free environment.
Yeah.
So when clients come to me with certain things, if I'm comfortable doing it, then, you know, I'm just there to provide them with a happy time.
Yeah. What things cross the line then for you? What are the things you go, all right, no.
I
sorry.
don't do any like scat play, blood play. I don't do anything.
Blood play?
Yeah, so anything that will like cause blood to be in your vicinity and your.
What is that? What would people do?
I don't know, like.
Is that like snuff almost, where like there's stabbing and shit?
No, well, maybe to some degree, but anything to like for me, it's anything that you are doing that will cause the person to bleed. Like I don't do blood.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I don't do any type of scat play, any blood play, anything to do with animals, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Does
They're
that
kind of
ever
my big
come to you
three.
sometime?
Sometimes, like the blood play and scat play, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Not so much the bestiality stuff, but yeah.
Blood play? Oh my God, I can't believe that's a thing. How do you, I mean, sexualizing blood is quite a, you know, that's one step before some really bad things, if that's something that's fetishized. I know that, you know, I did have a look at some of your stuff when Zach showed me. You know, and I guess you're in an interesting place because I know that you like the, what's it called, Zach? It's like daddy little girl stuff.
DDLG.
DDLG.
Daddy Dom Little Girl.
That sounds really hectic. I don't know how to really approach that subject, but I do really want to talk about it. Because
that's my kink. So that's where I'm at. That's what I like sexually.
Right. Yeah. Do you know where that maybe comes from?
No. I think maybe because I've got a lot of anxiety, like I suffer from anxiety.
You're really anxious now.
Yeah.
I can tell your voice is shaking. And don't be, but I know, because I know these are tough things to talk about, but I'm genuinely fascinated because, you know, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that are into this stuff, and I didn't know that it was a thing until Zach brought it up, and then I was like, holy fuck, there's a whole fucking world out there of it. But I personally, and I guess there's a lot of people that can't understand where that comes from and look at that and probably think that's, you know, that sits in some really hard areas for people to accept, comprehend, and even find that is okay. So, you know, I'm not grilling you on it, but I genuinely want to know what your opinion is to those people that think that might be watching.
I think that they need to know the person, they need to know the reasonings that they like that certain thing. And my whole thing is just if that person's happy and they're safe, then what impact does it have on your life for you to be negative towards them and say hateful, hurtful things or whatever? But yeah, that's just my whole thing about that.
I guess, like, do you see though that people would look at it? It's almost past that point where it's like, you know, if a guy is interested in you being a little girl, then, you know, you're almost stopping him from being a pedophile at that point.
So I don't, like, I know there's a lot of extremes to like be like considering like a little girl or whatever. So I don't wear little girl clothing or anything like that. Like there's not much in when I'm sleeping with someone or something like that comes into the play that I'm actually being a child. Like so for me it would be, I like the dom part of things because I'm really submissive as well. So when I sleep with someone, I prefer the guy to be completely in control. I like a bit of pain during the process. I like
no blood though.
No blood. I like kind of being pushed to the point of exhaustion. And then for me, when the daddy dom comes into it, is the aftercare process after having like a very intense sexual experience with someone, the cuddling and the care that you get after it.
Right. So it's almost like Stockholm syndrome.
What is that? Well, I know that.
Like it's like, so you're having hard sex, or this is not at what Stockholm syndrome is, but it's the state of mind of like, you know, you're being dominated, you're being put through, you know, a mental sort of rush through your head where you're trying to battle this, you know, crazy thing, and that's probably where you're getting this massive adrenaline rush from. Your endorphins are going nuts, everything, you know, it's addictive. It's like people that get addicted to slitting their wrists and stuff like that. Like it's this rush out of something that's sort of really crazy, or even people that are into, I guess, you know, what is it, asphyxiation, that sort of stuff, and then, you know, everything's going to be okay after it, and you sort of get yourself into this mind state that you put yourself through it because everything's going to be okay at the end. It's like people that get locked in cages, these kids that you find out, I mean, I'm not relating it to this exact thing, but, you know, like your Joseph Fritzels and those people in America that had like 24,000 children that were in their house downstairs, and these kids would go out in public and they would be totally fine because they sort of didn't know any different. They were being treated with a lot of salt and a tiny bit of sugar, but it made the sugar so much sweeter. Is that sort of what it is? It's that lot of salt analogy with a bit of sugar at the end that makes it so sweet?
I don't know, because I don't feel like I'm there that degree of things.
Like, I'm not saying you're locked in a cage, but I just mean, is it that analogy where you like the sweet stuff to be really sweet, and to get that you've got to go through hell to be it?
I don't know, because to me that's not hell. To me that I'm very much enjoying that part of things as well. I just think it's kind of in each to their own kind of thing. Like, that's what I like. And I do think, like, if I had to bring it back to some mental reason as to why that's my particular thing, is I think it, like, well, that the rough and bit part is fun for me, but then the aftercare part, I think it brings me back to, like, a state of being very stress-free, very taken care of, kind of
bliss.
Like, I don't have responsibilities kind of thing. So it's like a little tranquil thing where...
Right.
Yeah.
What is that feeling at the end then?
It's just nice. It's just like this person is taking care of you, and
Would you say it's almost euphoric?
Probably. Depending on the session.
Yeah. Would you say that you're... I mean, I don't know. Are you like a nympho in that sense? Where do you really like sex? Like, how often do you think you'd have sex?
I do like sex, but I mean, I do work quite a bit. So I normally work 3 nights a week, and then so that's not necessarily this type of play, because it's whatever my client is after. Yeah. And then in my personal life, I don't really have sex.
Right. So it's like, this is totally different, but I'm a comedian. I do comedy shows, but I'm probably one of the least funniest people in the real world. I'm constantly quite serious, and that's why I love having these conversations. So do you think that maybe, you know, doing this as a job and it being so much a part of your life has taken that away a little bit from your private life and that personal part? Because you do it so often? It
probably does play a small part into it, but I think I don't sleep with people outside of work, mainly just because, 1, I am really busy with everything that I do, and 2, for me to sleep with somebody, I have to genuinely vibe with them. Like, I'm not going to go out and just get someone, and like, in my head, like, I don't know if it sounds rude or whatever, but if the person isn't someone I vibe with, if I'm not going to connect with them sexually, I just find sleeping with them a waste of time. Like, it's
absolutely.
Just
that's not rude. That's just a matter of fact. I dig it. Yeah.
So, like, can't really be bothered. And then there's not many people that I do find myself attracted to, so I don't really sleep around or anything. Outside of work?
What is your ideal man then? Like in your personal life? Because it must somewhat cross over as well. Like, you know, when you find yourself could you ever see yourself getting in a relationship with a sugar daddy? Like a proper relationship? Because if these are the people that you're somewhat attracted to, and because there's got to be some of that there to, you know, to an extent. It can't just all be about
most
money.
Of my sugar daddies I've become attracted to, like, I do think everyone goes into it for the financial situation. But most of the time I become attracted to their personalities and just the friendship that I can have with someone. So my longest sugar daddy relationship was 3 years, which ended, I think, like a year ago. And that was, like, quite upsetting because we were good friends by that point. And
how does that, like, 3 years is a really long time. That's I would call that a proper relationship. Basically, at that point, there's just these, you know, odd added stipulations to a relationship, if that's the way that you looked at it. So how does that end? Do they just find someone else because there's no commitment? And, you know, that must hurt.
He lives in New Zealand, so and I'm obviously here, and I've been in Australia the entire time that we had an arrangement. So he would just fly me back, or whenever I'd be home, we'd catch up and stuff like that. So we weren't around each other 24/7. But towards the end, it was kind of a mutual thing. We both knew that we'd grown apart. I was doing different things. He was at a different point as well, and it was just easier for us to end things.
Do you still speak to that person?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're still friends?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you started getting into the full service escorting, and then that's been a bit of a story. Then how long have you been doing amateur porn, and how long till it becomes professional?
Probably for about the past 6 months.
So it's new. It's fresh.
It's
okay.
very new.
Yeah. So how did that evolve? How did that come about?
I just I knew from when I decided to, when I was a sugar baby, I didn't know that I genuinely wanted to create a career in the adult industry. But when I became an escort, that's when I knew that this is the career I wanted. This wasn't a stepping stone to something else for me. This was just one step into going further into the adult industry.
Yeah.
What was the question? Sorry.
How did the amateur porn career come about? What was the day that you went, all right, I'll start looking into this? And then what was the first thing that you...
Well, I knew that was going to be kind of the end goal, or that was the bigger thing, was being escorting and then PORNSTAR, if I can get there. And then I started doing the camming thing, which was a good stepping stone, because that was me interacting with people online and doing things behind my little webcam and stuff.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends who I work with is a videographer, and she's really awesome and really lovely. And then so I talked to her about doing my first solo scene. So far, all the stuff that I do, I just create for the fun of it, and because I want to do it. I'm not yet to work with any companies or anything like that. So I just make my own stuff, and then I post it on my OnlyFans, or I post it on my premium Snapchat. So that's how I make money from it. But everyone always says to me, oh, well, porn's it's not that great money these days, because you can get free porn everywhere and stuff like that. You'd be better off just being an escort. But it's not necessarily about the money. The money's still good, but that's the job I want. That's the career I want.
So let's say you sort of get to the day where you've won your AVN award, you're a professional porn star at this point. Obviously, I know you don't want to probably think about it, and no one's thinking about it at this point where they go, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do after this. But if you were living an alternate life, what do you think you'd be doing if you weren't doing this, or when you stop?
When I stop, I want to stop when my name is big enough that I don't have to work, but my name carries itself. So I have promotions or endorsements and stuff like that are still making money, and being at the point where I can do guest appearances and stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily still doing the job, but I'm still in the industry.
Right.
And then I'm assuming that once I get further into it, I will look into behind the scenes of either escorting, brothel, porn stuff, to then work in the business side of things once I'm no longer doing the actual sexual part.
Right. I guess you could probably make your money on, it's like Drake is producing this new show on Netflix, but the thing is Drake had nothing to fucking do with it. It's just having his name next to it provides consumer confidence. So, all right. And you'd be in business to some extent, yeah?
Yeah. And then if I wasn't absolutely in the adult industry, well, like I was saying, I still feel like I'd be doing something. If I wasn't doing the sexual side of things, I'd still be running some type of business that involved this, the sex industry.
Right. So you mentioned before, when did you first figure out you were interested in the sex industry?
So I remember when I was 9, I was drawing up the blueprints to my strip club and stuff like that. I just found it super interesting.
Was this in school? Was this a project, or
no?
Just at home, just chilling out, just drawing your strip club at 9?
Yep. But no, I know a lot of people probably assume that a person in the sex industry had a terrible childhood or something traumatic happened to them, but that wasn't the case for me. I know that is true for some individuals and everything, but not for me. I had a very normal childhood, and I don't necessarily know when I started learning about the sex industry, but my personality or my thoughts is that I'm very accepting. So it was never, when I thought about sex work, it was never considered a negative thing to me. It was never considered a bad thing. I just think if you can do it and you're completely content with what you're doing, if you can do it safely, if you're happy doing it, then more power to you. I mean, women, girls are sexualized all the time, so why not capitalize on it?
All right. Well, thanks, Koby, for coming in, having a chat, and being so open. I know it's I'm
super nervous.
No, you did really, really well, and you haven't fingered anyone in the dick that I know of. So
No, I'm pegging, but that's...
You're pegging. Oh, no.
Pegging.
We're not ending here. Pegging. Connor doesn't know what pegging is. I know what pegging is. Fucking, I do it to myself all the time. Pegging's, so you put on a strap on, and you fuck someone in the ass. Dudes and chicks, or just dudes?
Both. But, like, I would say for people that aren't, like know too much about the adult industry or different kinks and stuff like that, like this one, like when I tell people that aren't around this all the time, they're a bit like shocked about it. But to me, it's one of the most normalist kind of kinks that I get requested for. But there was this one time, it was so cool, like I loved it. But me and one of my friends, this was at one of the brothels that I work at. This client came in, he wanted to have anal sex with her while at the same time I had anal sex with him. So it's kind of like a little human centipede thing going on.
A human centipede thing. So
I guess that would probably be what it would look like, except not our mouth.
How does that physically work? What?
Like she's in doggy, he's kind of in doggy, then I'm just behind him.
So you're just the leader in this bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was his first time doing it, and I just felt so blessed that we could help him experience it.
Yeah, and he had a good time?
He had a great time. He ended up extending and staying a few more hours.
And so... Wow. So with the pegging thing, this is what I've wondered. Do you get any feeling out of that?
No, not really.
No, so it's just...
I'm not using a strap-on. I mean, it's a piece of plastic.
Right. Is a strap-on you get feeling from?
No. Because a strap-on you just put on yourself and it's
okay.
just a dildo.
I thought maybe something goes inside of you, so like you feel something.
I'm sure you could.
Right.
But, I mean, just general strap-on.
So what's that like then if like you're not... is it... You're basically faking it at that point?
Well, I'm not necessarily getting pleasure, but I'm giving the pleasure to them. So I like that.
That's boring.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I feel so lovely and
Fuck
special
that,
that they would trust me to do that to their butts.
Is there anything else? Any other cool? I mean, pegging must be quite common.
Pegging is very common.
Yeah.
I did have a booking that was a husband and wife, and the husband had been fantasizing about sleeping with another person. He told his wife about it, and they thought that the best thing to do to kind of get over that thing was to actually do it.
Right.
But the requirement was that she would come in and pick the girl or girls that she wanted her husband to sleep with, and then went into the room with them, and she sat there and watched. So she picked me and one of my friends to sleep with her husband, but the rule was like he wanted this to happen, so she said that we had to dominate him. And
so that's like a weird cuck, isn't it? It's like normally it's the other way around, isn't it? So is she getting off on this as well? Like, is she...
I don't necessarily think she was. This, I think, to them was something more to help them with their relationship. Like, she was very... Like, she was happy about it and stuff like that. Like, she went into it being very okay with the situation.
Maybe that's because she's getting dominated.
Yeah. But I don't think... It wasn't necessarily a sexual thing for her. I think it was just something that they needed... They thought they needed to do to help their relationship.
So what is dominating to him then? Like, what do you do in that situation?
We just slapped him around and stuff like that, and like
fun?
called him mean names and stuff. Yeah, like it is. I'm not necessarily a dom. Like I'm definitely more of a sub. But when it comes to stuff like that, like it is fun.
Yeah, I guess. Just calling someone mean names. Yeah. Jeez, I should get into it. Just because I have shit days sometimes, and I feel like doing it in traffic. But I reckon get it all out and just slapping someone in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could, I don't know, do boxing or something.
That's probably, it's probably a bit more standard. Yeah. All right, sweet. Well, Koby, anyway, like I said before you brought up the pegging bit.
Sorry.
No, thank you, because that's the Facebook clip. But I appreciate you coming in today and having a chat, and all the best with everything. And thanks for being super open.
No
all right,
worries.
thanks for watching the Josh Wade Show. We'll see you next week.